bans. I don't know if they're going to prioritize the Ares pick here in this game. And remember, even though Emilito did well on that Freya, they picked it kind of early in the draft. Let's see if that's something they want to do again.
I wouldn't be surprised if Papis decide to ban it away if it doesn't go in the first 3, because Emilito almost single-handedly won NRG that game.
He definitely kept it close, yeah.
He put on the backpack and just couldn't, you know when it's too full and you just can't quite like zip it up, it's just like the zipper gets stuck, that's kind of what happened.
Yeah, like maybe like Raffer's foot was hanging out.
Yeah,
you couldn't
just
zip it
over.
Like,
shoving it in there, yeah.
This time though, it's NRG banning away the Amusen comp, despite the fact that Yaman was the one that piloted it last game. So they've taken that option off the table, and they take away that soul from Mr. Nazer.
Good, this is a great start to this draft for NRG. Mr. Nazer looked great on it, and more AoE for NRG. Also, adapting, I do not want to see him on Camazotz anymore. This is back-to-back games. Towards the end of the regular season, he played that Camazotz and was basically invisible against Rival. That game, basically invisible. Did a good job of diving Warchi in the late game.
Yeah, he did that job really well.
But through the first 15 or so minutes, didn't really see him. His player damage was very, very low.
Uller is the pick out from NRG, and I like seeing Uller here. He is able to do a lot for your team. Got a bit of a flex, and that's in response to Warchi getting that Hui again.
And RTO got all the way down to that 3rd pick. Don't think she was picked or banned in the last one either. Probably going to be for Maniac in the solo lane, but could be for Raffer as well. Remember, Raffer did play this RTO in support.
Yeah.
And actually had, in my mind, the best support RTO performance in a loss against one of their opponents.
And the Fafnir's locked in for Papis, so they could be looking for a little bit more attack speed to get some synergy out of that course. But talk to me about what Uller is going to be able to do here for NRG.
It's just Emilito show, man. I'm trying to find the solo kills. I'm trying to make big plays all by myself, and honestly, I can't blame him. NRG's best player right now is undoubtedly Emilito. Give your best player a chance to win the game by himself.
NRG has to ban out the Cabrakan as Papis one more time take an eye towards some of those supports. So they think Ardio is going to be going to the solo lane. They ban out Ganesh and Sylvanas. Now they've got Yanis for that global pressure.
Interesting. It's going to have a tough time against that RTO potentially. That cripple is going to be impactful in this game against the Hui, the Fafnir, and the Giannis now, as it's Kukulin, so that will be RTO in the support role for Raptor.
And Camazot's locked in for adapting, so I know you didn't want to see it, but he felt good about it. They're going to run that back in the jungle one more time.
Look, I mean, he's the best player to ever touch the game.
Yes.
Unquestionably. And if he feels like he's going to make big plays on this god, then no one can really tell him no. But the last few games we've seen him on it has not been impressive. And can he break it out and have a crazy game? Absolutely, but he hasn't recently, and I'm kind of surprised that he's willing to go back to it.
Yeah, you won't see this guest caster looking to question adapting anytime soon here, but Nemesis is locked in for Papis. That's going to create some trouble for Ardio and Kukulin, especially if they're able to interrupt that dash.
But again, that's another dash that has to worry about that RTO cripple. I mean, that's what RTO does so well. I think that RTO has so many things in her kit that no one's really sure what, like, this is the composition that RTO destroys or does really well against. I'm starting to think of her more like a Poseidon. That cripple becomes very impactful. The cripple is, I think, the thing that makes RTO the hardest to play against with a composition, and the Papis have really not respected that cripple with their draft. Now, they've also got plenty of damage to bring him down. I love Nemesis with Giannis, because not only do you even add to the mobility that Nemesis already has, but it also makes up for the lack of damage that Giannis is going to do by stripping away the protections, making someone much squishier, and then that burst off Unstable Vortex feels like a very impactful mage ability.
And you talked last game about how you don't think Raffer when you think Ares, but this draft to me by NRG feels like a really NRG sort of draft so far. I think everyone's on a god. We know they can play at a high level. Look at Emilito getting the free stun on the Warchi, already bringing him down to half health.
Yeah, this is exactly what you expect from Emil. I mean, he's so comfortable on this god. He's so comfortable on every god. I mean, this guy has been playing at an incredibly high level for the last year plus. I mean, MVP at last year's Worlds. He's looked like NRG's best player all season long in Season 4 as well.
Yaman now on the Soul, taking that away from Mr. Nazer, who's instead going to have to pilot the Yanis this game. Already looking good. They're the ones free to rotate over to those right side mid Harpies first this time, clear those up, and get back to lane, as once again we've got our supports starting in mid.
And that's going to favor NRG for sure, because not only do they have really good clear with the Soul, but with RTO, I mean, her level 1, level 2 clear is phenomenal, because just like Emilito on the Uller, you just have more abilities to use than everyone else does. Instead of having 2, you've got 4. So you're going to be able to clear the wave much easier than most characters. So this is going to definitely favor NRG with the push.
And wow, Emilito's done a really good job pressuring out Warchi. We only just now saw Warchi tick over to level 2, while Emilito's been level 3 for a while. So like a little bit over a level and a half, Emilito's been able to get out in front over there alone.
And that's why I'm kind of surprised surprised that Warchi didn't just start in the jungle and try and clear off his own buffs.
He's done that twice now,
have to try and box with Emilito in the lane very early. Yeah, he wanted to start in lane, maybe worried that Emilito was going to try and invade him on the buffs.
Emilito, again, going in aggressively, forces Warchi to jump back and keep him away from some of the farm. And look at this. The pressure in mid, helping out the pressure in left now. Raffer and Yaman able to rotate over, steal away the red buff, and get it onto Yaman and limit the farm here for Warchi.
Yeah, this is really big because remember, in game 1, it was Warchi who had a big lead in the duo lane, and Emilito was still able to make a great impact in that game. And Papis need to be careful in mid because look around the backside, 3 members coming there.
Once again, NRG Esports are here and ready. Mr. Nazer, though, has the portal on the ground. Now that Cripplefield's coming out, and they've got him locked down, has to use the Aegis, and the Sprint came out. That's enough damage, though, for adapting to get credit. Raffer could be in a little bit of trouble here in return, though.
Dalo coming in, looking for Yaman. Actually, no, good to switch his focus over to Raffer. He's left all alone. Nice double stun, though, and might have that dash up soon. Still on the run, though. Has to worry about the speed buff Nemesis.
It was good, though, to make that last as long as he could. Give Emilito a chance to try and rotate in. Unable to help, but I got to think that still favors NRG. They get first blood, and it's on Nazer.
But look at how many relics they just got out from the Papis. I mean, it's a horrific emblem from Creed, who made the rotation all the way over to mid from that right-hand side, which means that Maniac's going to have a pretty substantial golden experience lead on the right. It's beads from Dalo as well. He tried to get out of that stun.
And NRG are already looking much better here in game 2 than they did in game 1. And I don't think there's anything wrong with saying it's come down a lot to this draft.
I agree, and it's also just this left-hand side. I'm very curious as to Warchi's reasoning why he didn't start at the buffs, because look at what it's done. It's given Yaman a red buff in mid. It's allowed NRG to strip away buffs on the left-hand side and still leave Emilito his own buffs on the left-hand side, just like Warchi had in the last game. But Uller is one of those characters that can push a lead like this better than just about any other. I mean, having all those abilities up very consistently and having them do a lot of damage is really tough to deal with.
It definitely feels like the lead is twofold, as now Nazer's the one in trouble, able to get through the portal, but adapting has, he's level 5, up into the air, cleans that one up. Easy peasy, sending Mr. Nazer down twice now.
And it's just a lack of wards on that right-hand side. That's twice now adapting has come around that back right side and found the gank on Nazer.
This just looks so much more like NRG. Now they're successfully invading the speed buff as well. Adapting could be the one that picks that one up while they force Creed and Dalo back out. And they're going to take the blue. It's pressure all over the map.
Yeah, this is NRG putting their foot down and saying, okay, you know, we're one game away from having our season ended, but we've been in this spot plenty of times. Usually at LAN, usually at World's Finals or semifinals or whatever, but they've still been here before.
Dalo now is the one under pressure, has that Nemesis shield to keep him alive, so he is able to make it back past his tower line as Creed continues to battle it out with Maniac. Instead, though, everyone lives and they back off, but they did get Dalo's ult.
They're just trying to give himself some extra protection in the midst of that fight. That's why we saw the Nemesis ult come out, as Emilito looking for Mr. Nazer, who doesn't have a lot of farm to go to. Emilito is on a ward right there, but still not worried about missing this wave on the left-hand side.
Emilito instead is going to pick up these mid Harpies, try and make up for a little bit of the farm he's going to be missing, as that wave has now made it underneath his tower. This time it looks like they're not going to be there to continue to put the pressure on Warchi. He's ready on respawn for that red buff.
And that's very important, and to be able to get some extra farm for himself and Mr. Nazer, who is also behind on that left side of the map. And that's what you can afford to do when you've got yourself a lead. We see solo laners do it consistently. Hunters can do it as well. Mid laners, every laner can really, if you have a lead, you can say, all right, I'm up 2.5 waves. I'll give up a wave to try and make a play in mid or on right or wherever, and then I'll only be up 1.5 waves. I'll still have a lead, but you are making, it's a risk reward. You could try and invest that lead into a kill somewhere else on the map. Didn't work out there for Emilito, but he's still ahead.
But this is so scary. He's the highest XP farmed in the game, even highest in gold too. His net worth is above even Warchi, about by 500. Got those back Harpies going to red now to secure this, and this time he should be able to meet that left wave even easier. How does Emilito continue to use this pressure?
Just do Uller stuff, man. As Creed's in trouble on the right-hand side, has to use his ultimate just to get away, and adapting still has his, able to get up into that bat, but he's not going to go for the kill because here comes Draco.
And it was a good call, too. Draco Marino was here, as was the through space and time for Mr. Nazer. Up into the dragon form is Draco Marino, but Maniac's already out of there, so a little bit committed without getting any kind of return kill.
Not the ultimate that you wanted out of Mr. Nazer on the Giannis. Instead of trying to go for the kill there with the kill shot of through space and time, you have to use that to cut off the escape route of Maniac. Put your whole team in position to follow up. Everyone used it for the first through portals, and then you had to kind of turn off the portal route and turn up towards the lane. If Mr. Nazer uses that to try and cut off the escape, that probably ends up in at least one kill for the Papis.
Now Warchi's the one that's going to be here for Oracles on respawn. A little bit more neutral farm. He's able to pull over in his own favor. Papis, though, responding to this aggression they're seeing from NRG with some of these wards you can see in between the jungle and mid path, over here between the solo and jungle path, just to try and be a little bit more wary of these invades.
And this team composition for NRG isn't really falling off anytime soon. I mean, their mid game, their late game are both phenomenal.
I don't think Ullr's a bad late game hunter.
No, he's not. That steroid that he gets just from leveling his ult, I mean, he gets base attack speed buff, and the steroid on his 2, I should say, is very, very potent.
I gotta agree with you. As the speed buff is the one that's in trouble here. Raffer using that cripple field just to try and get away. Not gonna be able to steal the speed buff this time, but at least be able to get away with their lives. And look at this. Warchi made a full rotation all the way over to the solo side of the map. Immolito's gonna get some farm.
I like that idea though from Warchi. I mean, he's already behind, yes, but he's gonna be able to get back to get the majority of this wave anyways. Or he could soak up this solo wave in mid. But adapting, getting kind of low. He's got to be careful, but still has his ultimate available. No beads this time for adapting. We saw him utilize that blink earlier. Again, a lack of hard CC, but this time it's on the Papis.
Dalo, Mr. Nazer just going to back off. Immolito, look for a moment like he might want to come over towards this right-hand side, but I think the call is going to be just to back up as Creed's real low. He's going to make sure he's safe. Going to soak up these mid-harpies and head back over to the left side where Warchi's been absent for a little while. He made up for it by getting some of that farm in mid, but do you think the rotation from him ended up being worth it?
I think that if he would have popped on over, said, hey, I'm here, don't do our speed buff, please, and NRG says, okay, you can have it. He gets that mid wave and then immediately heads back to left. That's a worth rotation. He doesn't lose a whole lot. He's able to pick up a wave in mid and in left, and then you're not too worried about it. But the fact that he stayed around and stayed for mid harpies on the right-hand side instead of going to the left side wave, did pick up backs and red as soon as they spawned, so that does boost up his golden experience a little bit. But I think just a little bit too long in that mid lane for Warchi.
Big rotation on the left-hand side. Immolito going to need to be careful as Draco and Dalo are both here, but luckily, Raffer rotates on over too, so they're not able to get anything more out of it. Immolito able to just kind of head back to lane and now safely farm with Raffer hanging out with Yaman because Immolito's so far ahead, Raffer can do this.
I mean, look at the item difference. Warchi hasn't even back to start his Devourer's Gauntlets. And
oh, yeah.
Immolito's already got nearly 20 stacks on his. Warchi's still sticking around, now deciding to back, so he must have enough gold to get those Devo gloves, but still going to be very far behind with the stacks.
This is a pretty big difference where Morty's still sticking around to try and pick up this purple buff, so Immolito going to be able to get even further ahead in that stack fight, and even could look to try and slow down the back if he chose, but instead looks like that's going to be the call. Now he's going to give Warchi a little bit of a hard time over there in that left-hand lane. Actually forces out the ultimate in response.
Smart.
And now Adapting was rotating over, but instead looking to try and set some up in mid.
This is a good opportunity for NRG to try and pull this Gold Fury because they know Warchi has to back right now, and his ultimate is down. But problem is, Mr. Nazer having that through space and time means that Warchi can get to this fight very quickly.
Draco Marino and Mr. Nazer are the only ones around. Immolito and the rest of NRG don't seem to want to hard commit to this Gold Fury. Instead, just kind of testing out the response from Papis. And when they kind of saw them moving in, as they do have some wards, they backed off. Creed is in some trouble here, but Dalo's here as well. Creed didn't stay forward to try and help out with clean this up. He trusts Dalo to be able to pick this one up solo, but he wasn't able to. Maniac, just a little bit too tanky.
Creed had to use the ultimate just to get away, and now sprint popped by Raffer, and then he leaves Adapting to go and close the gap all by himself. Adapting's ultimate still available, doesn't need to use it quite yet, as he finds Dalo underneath the tower.
Forced to use that ultimate, though, so Draco Marino couldn't pin him with that hammer. Same coming out from Mr. Nazer, losing the trade handily to Yaman in mid. He's forced to use his through space and time just to get away.
Love what Raffer does there. Pops the sprint and says, good luck, homie. I'm going to mid to make sure that Yaman's safe, and just allows Adapting to get to that fight so quickly. I mean, sprint plus the 1,000-fold blade working towards what's probably going to be a Heartseeker, plus a blink. I mean, he got from underneath fire elementals to near the tower of the right side in no time at all. Really good team play there from NRG.
And I like what we're seeing out of Warchi. Instead of just like kind of sitting and losing the lane to Immolito, he's trying to rotate over and have an impact. We saw him in the mid lane for a moment just now there to try and help out Mr. Nazer a little bit, and now Immolito's looking for any buffs that are up on this dual lane side.
Look at how many stacks he has ahead. I mean, nearly 30 stacks above Warchi on the Hu Yi. Now, Warchi's done a good job of staying safe because it's easy to get solo killed here against the Ullr, who's this far ahead of you, but I know he's losing a lot of farm, I know he's losing a lot of XP, but it's better than getting 1v1'd at this point. You got to just kind of give up your left side jungle if Immolito comes knocking.
And that is seem to be the call, as Immolito going to back off and just head to the jungle here at this point. You know, you talked a little bit before the game about how you weren't a big fan of Adapting going back to this Camazotz, but this game, it's having a better impact. He's been the one cleaning up the kills. He's at 3-0-0 out in front of Dalo on this Nemesis.
Much better this time. He's been able to play aggressive with the blink. He's been able to finish off what the rest of NRG has started, and that's what Adapting has always done very, very well. It gets a lot of kills because a lot of the damage comes from Yaman and Emilito, and Adapting is so good at outplaying you when you're low, when you're trying to run away. He's excellent at reading his opponent and is able to clean up a lot of kills that way. In the last few games where he's playing Camazotz, he hasn't had a lot of pressure in his lanes. He's been behind, still trying to finish off low health targets. Problem is, no one's low health. If the rest of the team's doing their job, it enables Adapting to do his and finding these kills.
And NRG have converted these 3 kills into about a 3,000 gold lead. If you can see those charts there for them, I think it's pretty close to about that. I'd be interested to see where the XP is looking as well. So about with each kill, they've gotten 1,000 out of it. But that experience, that's nuts at 5,000 here about 12 minutes in.
But the Papis still hanging on. I mean, this is one team fight away from going their way. The problem is that they're pretty far behind in their damage because they're really relying on Warchi to be the damage in the early game. Not what you're used to saying for a Hunter, but I mean, Giannis not going to be doing really great damage right now. He's very, very low on the player damage charts, only above actually Emilito, who's just been using his presence as a kind of deterrent to anyone trying to fight him. Mr. Nazer not going to be able to make the same early game impact that he did on the Soul with this Giannis.
They do at least get those oracles. Had to split it among several players, though, so it's not a whole lot of XP difference that they're able to get, but at the very least, got that vision and slow down NRG a little bit if they were to choose to go for that Gold Fury, as now we see Emilito trying to come have an impact on the right side of the map. It's the calls, the Portal Demon, which Adapting already has pulled.
Mr. Nazer does have the ultimate. Now he's charging it, firing off that through space and time. Rapper sees it coming, doesn't clip anybody, and Portal Demon is already going to fall for NRG.
Adapting already on his way out of this engagement. His Papis are trying to look for some kind of return kill. The call is Maniac as the ultimate from Nemesis comes out to him on top of it, but there's nothing for him to get here. NRG looking real clean.
Sprint again coming up big for Maniac. It saved his life on the right-hand side earlier on, just being patient with it. And again, he gets Nemesis ulted, immediately pops the sprint. The biggest counter to Nemesis is that slow immunity. That's why you see so many wing blades usually built against her.
Draco Marino has to go into the Dragon form in mid as he was locked down. Adapting, helped by Raffer, gets a lot of damage onto him. Draco Marino, see you later, buddy, as now the Gold Fury is in the sights of NRG Esports.
And now only one ultimate up for the Papis, and it's Creed with the Lord of the Afterlife, and he's coming all the way back from base. It's going to take him a little bit as Warchi has got spotted out underneath that Gold Fury. Nice stun on a Maniac, but he's still going to be forced back.
Maniac was keeping Warchi away from that fight. Mr. Nazer stunned out before he can go through the portal, but he's going to be okay for the moment. Dalo's here to try and help out any way he can, but there's no way into that Gold Fury. Adapting goes in to zone him out. Takes a little more damage than he wanted, but they got what they wanted.
This is much, much more typical of what we see from NRG. Just moving enemy teams around the map, finding one pick, forcing another back, and then getting objectives for it. This is much more controlled, much more pressure on the map for them as well. I mean, they've won every lane. In the last game, it was the Papis who had pressure just about everywhere. Maniac was holding his own and maybe even out pressuring Creed in game one, but everywhere else, the Papis were the ones with the pressure. This time around, it's NRG who have really utilized that well.
But this feels so much different to me. I doubt NRG are going to let Warchi walk up and just take a Gold Fury against 4 members in this game. I trust NRG with this kind of same lead that Papis needed to break open a little bit further before they were fully in control. Now we're going to get to see Emilito finally start to have an impact. He's down there, like you said, at the bottom of the player damage, but he rotated over, helped make that Portal Demon happen. He's free to start going around the map.
Look, he hasn't done a lot of player damage, but he's just been looking real mean at Warchi and whoever comes near him, and that's basically done the same thing as doing player damage because no one really wants to fight Emilito, and he's gotten himself a pretty decent lead in Golden Experience because of it. I've got no doubt that Emil's player damage numbers are going to be popping up pretty soon.
Good damage from Adapting on the Dalo. Takes out a good chunk of HP. His 4 members group up here to try and push mid lane. Draco Marino and Dalo, the only ones here with Warchi trying to come in on the side. Jumping in would be dangerous, coming through the loop would be dangerous. Good double bounce onto Adapting to get the stun, dropping the Suns over the top to try and halt the DPS. Dalo puts the ultimate down on top of Raffer. That was enough for the moment to slow down the tower, but they're right back pushing again, and mid falls.
Again, that sprint coming up so big. This time it's Raffers instead of Maniacs. The Papis have a lot of reliance on slows between Warchi's ultimate, Creed on the Osiris, Dalo, and the entire kit in terms of damage comes from slows and his abilities. These sprints have come up really big so far for NRG, and the Papis need to do a better job of baiting out those sprints before committing things like Hui and Nemesis ult.
Adapting continuing to apply pressure this game. Look how far he's going to chase Warchi down between his tier 1 and tier 2. Just creating space, though, for Imelito and Raffer to come over and get this tier 1. Every time you've seen Raffer with, not Raffer, but Imelito with aggressive positioning or Maniac, the rest of the team is somewhere else taking an objective. Adapting blinks into the back to Warchi, who has to go up into the air. Sprint comes out. That's going to be the call for him to disengage as Yemen's hanging around the right side.
And it's all because Dalo has to get far on the right-hand side. Speed buffs up, and that's the most important thing. Plus, tier 1 tower's already gone. NRG's got no chance to get the tier 2 in that sense without a lot of kills going their way. So Dalo backing up is the right call there.
And that's not even really what they want. As the sprint comes out, the target is going to be Maniac, gets the 2-man knock-up, and that creates enough space for him. But NRG, those are the calls for him. You don't see a lot of the lower-end teams do this. Go up, group up when they have a lead, and just force down those tier 1 structures. That way, when they go break up on like Fire Giant or win a big team fight, they can go straight for tier 2s and Phoenixes. That's something you don't see from some of the lower teams.
Map pressure is so important, and it's getting away towers to give yourself a better route into different objectives, to cut down escape routes for the Papis, and exactly what you were talking about, NRG going for another tier 1. Now it's every single tier 1's off the map for the Papis.
Warchi, though, not liking seeing his tower destroyed, does come over and take the tier 1 in right. And maybe they're just going for a bit of a race here, as there's 4 members from NRG in right, and instead of trying to defend, they'll just try and push this down. But Maniac's backed. Maniac will be here to slow down this push. Now there's going to be 4 members just up against 3 in right.
Mr. Nazer hanging around the backside, but he's on a ward right there, so NRG know about it. This is plenty of tower damage between an Uller and a Soul, even without a lot of late-game items for either one of them.
Warchi trying to steal the red buff while the rest of NRG looking to try and take down this tier 2. As you said, already down to half health, so they're doing a lot. Instead, just going to back off and give up on that tier 2 push just for now, because Portal Demon's up and they feel like they can force the fight around a neutral objective.
This is perfect, NRG. They didn't take too much poke. Raffer got poked out a little bit, but he's a tanky bear. He's not too worried about that. We're just waiting around this right-hand side and waiting until Portal Demon respawns.
Adapting, fighting Warchi on this left-hand side, but it's Draco Marino who's very low. I don't think NRG were giving up space. I think they were just backing up for the moment. Warchi drops the Suns into that area. That's really tight corridor, but Maniac coming around the back comes in with that Rage Form ultimate onto several members. Adapting now here up in the air, looking for Dalo, who's able to escape thanks to the portal from Mr. Nazer, and no one falls, but NRG now have an open path to the Portal Demon.
No one falls for the Papis, but no one did any damage either. I mean, and look at how healthy NRG is still. A lot of this poke is from the initial engagement. They get Portal Demon without a lot of contest from the Papis, and if they quick back here, they might be able to pull Fire Giant and force Papis into a bad engagement.
And this is what I was saying. I don't think NRG was backing up because they thought they were losing the fight, but it feels like that's the signal Papis got. They started pushing in really aggressively the more ground NRG gave up, and then NRG were like, okay, if you want to fight, we'll fight. We're up like 6,000 gold. Push him back, and they take the Portal Demon. Now they're looking to create space for Fire.
Warchi has to jump away, and this tier 2 tower already so poked out, with Yemen back in getting some more items, as well as Emilito just continuing to push up their damage on these structures.
Now the call seems to be from Papis to try and get the defense. Good portal coming out. That does get some poke out onto Adapting. Axe Stun comes out on Warchi, immediately takes 60% of his health bar for the trouble. Tier 2 tower is going to be the call as Sprint comes out, and that's going to get Papis out of the fight.
Mr. Nazer doesn't have his ultimate quite yet, and no one on NRG is even low enough to be worried about that through space and time ultimate. So another good win for NRG. They get a tier 2 tower on the right-hand side, and kind of surprised that Warchi didn't just explode off that nice axe stun from Alito. No relics for Warchi. Needs to be more careful with his positioning in these team fights. He's not nearly as ahead as he was in game 1.
And what it feels like to me here, Aggro, is once NRG got the lead, once Imelito got ahead, what they kept doing was moving around the map saying, fight me. And if you don't want to fight me, then I'm taking this. And that's what NRG have done all game long. When Papis don't fight, they take.
They've taken quite a bit. Now they're taking Oracles on the left-hand side, and that Gold Fury is going to be pretty important. Not as important as the second one was in game 1 of this set, but this could be the Gold Fury that pushes NRG into that, you know, catastrophic Gold Fury or Gold lead that the Papis are going to have a really hard time coming back from. I mean, we're already basically there, but to get up, you know, 9,000-10,000 gold is pretty much it's tough.
This certainly would feel like a nail in a coffin for him, and there it is. Does NRG try and hammer it home? No way for Papis to come in and fight for it, as now that gold leads up at 9,000, mirroring the XP difference, which largely we're seeing between Yemen and Emilito, who have been pretty far out in front this game so far. NRG now firmly in control, can try and force a fight at Fire Giant if Papis feel like they can take it.
Now keep in mind that a lot of NRG's lead has come from taking structures, Gold Furies, towers, things like that, and Papis only have 2 towers left, so there's not a lot more gold for NRG to take from those structures. Now, the Papis have plenty of structures still to take. 2 tier 1s, I should say, all 3 tier 2s still standing, so the Papis have plenty of gold left on the map, but they're going to have to win a team fight or 2 in order to take even a little bit of those structures off the map. And they can recoup a lot of that gold quickly, but it requires them to win a team fight, and that doesn't look likely right now.
Adapting, looping around, blinks in onto Dalo. Ultimate comes out from Dalo in response right away, but it's just not enough. Maniac cleans that one up. Now it's going to be a 4v5 across the map. Creed also very low, has to try and escape through space, and time came through. Didn't quite land on the mark as Raffer finishes taking down Creed. Draco Marino, sir, you might be the next call. Nazer also very low, and Yemen takes him out.
Nice sprint once more from NRG. It gets them in position to chase down Mr. Nazer. Dalo and Creed just a little bit too far forward. Now with only 2 members left, the dual lane for the Papis. No chance for them to come in and contest an easy Fire Giant for NRG.
And the energy of this fight, not to make a pun here, the energy of this game feels way different from Game 1. Game 1 felt like Papis were able to finally break it open at the very end, and then NRG couldn't fight into the lead. NRG, it felt like since minute 1, have been asking Papis, can you hang with us? And Papis have had no answer all game long. If NRG end up winning this game, force at Game 3, Papis got to get their head straight for this next one.
I mean, it's going to be tough because NRG's basically saying, like, daddy's home. Like, it's time to play now. We're going to play our best, and we're gonna crush you, and there's not a lot you can do about it. And Papis are probably like, oh, okay, sorry. You know, it was only a joke in Game 1.
That's just how the bracket lined up. We got to play. I'm sorry.
How well can they adjust for Game 2? That's what the Papis should be discussing right now. Look, yes, it's possible that NRG throws away this lead and ends up losing this game, but we've seen them be too consistent with ending the game too many times. This is a valuable time for a team like the Papis to go over picks and bans. What do we want to do differently? You know, Warchi, what are you having trouble with on the left-hand side? Is it just Uller? Do we want to take that away? Is that worth a ban? There are lots of things to be talking about right now, especially during this downtime where NRG is just pushing up waves, getting their buffs, and then coming for your base. You can start to talk about this game again whenever NRG is pushing down your Phoenixes. Until then, start planning for the next game.
And it really feels like as the Tier 2 power falls in left and adapting groups for Tier 2 and mid, that early pressure was the name of the game for NRG in this spot, especially on that left and mid side. As Warchi takes half his health just from the poke between Emilito and Yemen. Phoenix now down to half as well. Warchi drops the Suns on top of him, and there's really no way for him to answer. Raffer gets stunned down in the back as Maniac continues to push forward, and Creed has to use his ultimate just to get away.
Creed's so low. He's a little 15. He can't really frontline anymore because everyone on NRG is a higher level than him.
There's space and time. Nice. Hits Raffer. Big hit coming through. It's not enough, though, to stop him taking down the Phoenix as they continue to push.
For me, I think that it's pressure, yes, around the map, but Mr. Nazer on Giannis has not been able to have nearly the same impact as he did on the Soul. I'd like to see him on something a little bit more impactful than the Giannis.
I got to agree with you. The mid laner for him this time is he's down. He's actually doing okay, you know, on the damage chart. He's at the middle of the pack, just behind Emilito. But you're definitely not the impact he had on the Soul last pick. So NRG doing a great job in picks and bans as they group to push down this mid Phoenix. Axstun isn't quite on the mark for Uller this time, but they're not super reliant on that to set up the fight.
No, they've got plenty of CC without it. As with this minion wave coming in, it's going to be NRG signal to go in. There's a sprint popped, and Maniac going to find a 3-man knockup right away on the backside.
Dalo's in a lot of trouble as the Supernova comes out from Yemen to go through the backline. Maniac actually in the Titan room, continuing to fight as Creed gets locked down. Creed gets deleted. Maniac will take that one. Thank you very much. Mid Phoenix falls. That's 2 Phoenixes down in total for NRG Esports as they look to push down in solo as well.
Right side minion wave is very far back. No chance for NRG to get the wave with them. So instead they're going to head back towards the Portal Demon and just get that, spend this gold that they've earned, and get back and ready to siege this right side.
And you talked a bit about how Creed was level 15, so how far behind he is. Draco Marino also struggling to establish any kind of frontline for him on this Fafnir pick too. That's been a really big issue for them. Maniac can kind of just walk to the back line and knock up 3 members without having to work.
And these sprints have really just shut down everything that Dalo wants to do in this game. Every single time he's used his Nemesis ultimate, a sprint has been waiting to give that slow immunity to whoever he hits with it. Again, there's just not enough burst damage to finish off that member without the slow. They're really relying on the slow to keep them in place, to guarantee big damage from Mr. Nazer, to guarantee Warchi's auto attacks. If it's Maniac who gets nem-ulted and then is able to just jump away and is slow immune, then what can the Papis really do to him? I mean, not a lot.
And this is one of those games, Aggro, where the slash line does not tell you the story. If you come in at the end of this game and you think, well, Imolito didn't really do much this game, well, then you need to go back and watch the early game. Imolito is the reason why they had all the pressure that they had. Also, Yemen and Raffer in mid were pretty big too, but now they're pushing down this right side. Phoenix, it's fallen. The Titan for Papis is fully exposed as NRG no longer have the Fire Giant. Instead, they're going to go back and wait for that buff in 40 seconds.
40 seconds, and that'll give them enough time. That'll give Papis enough time to push out the left side, get that left Phoenix nearly respawned, and it's just going to be NRG walking up and poking it down as soon as it respawns with the Fire Giant buff. Papis, I don't know if they want to try and just make a big play with through space and time and try and catch someone out, because if they just wait until it's time for the defense, it's too late.
Draco Marino might be in trouble here. He managed to just jump over the wall to get away. Adapting, going to keep up the chase. Just trying to keep him being a part of it. Instead, take those mid Harpies, as now everyone from NRG can group over on that Fire Giant, and there's really no way for Papis to fight into this when they got to worry about all those different waves.
Adapting has chased Draco Marino all the way to the left side of the map. Does need to be a little bit careful because Dalo is there waiting as well.
Adapting actually is very low, using likely his ult to try and get out of there, since they weren't able to get the very last in hand. It was his ult that he had to use to get out as the Fire Giant falls in favor of NRG Esports. Through space and time actually came through. I think they were maybe hoping he was lazy backing and trying to find this kill, but instead now they won't have that team fight available for him. Mr. Nazer doesn't have that much cooldown just yet. It does have that Sands of Time, so it'll probably be back up, but they went for the play and they couldn't find it.
And they'll stop the back of Dalo, whose dash is down. Nice
Good
axe
start
as well. Who cares about Thorns, homie? I'm just going to do the damage.
Actually kind of looked like maybe he would. If they were a little bit closer in levels, Dalo might have been able to turn that around, but Imolito cleans that one up, no problem. Now without that Nemesis to go into the backline, or at least steal protections away from maybe Maniac or Raffer, NRG are going to have no problem sieging down this left Phoenix as it has just respawned.
Dalo held the beads there. Probably should have used them, but I guess he might be dead anyways with dashes being down. Either way, can't quite find the kill onto Imolito, and as I mentioned, this left side Phoenix respawn just in time for NRG to knock it down once more.
And everyone's here from NRG to push in. Only 4 members strong from Papi, Warchi. The Suns come out. They do force out Relics from Imolito in response, but now with the push, Maniac gets a 4-man knock-up. Phoenix falls in left-hand side. Papis, you looked good in game 1, but NRG, we're the big boys here to try and take game 2. Pushing in the minion waves, all 5 members here. Papis, this is going to be a hard defense. Can they make it happen?
Sprint popped Creed right into the front line with the Thorns, but again, he's just getting shredded down by all of NRG. Yemen's going to claim 1. Draco Marino will return it, but it's NRG just focusing down the Titan.
Dalo now has to back off. Titan, no way to keep it alive. It ends up falling 1-1. We're going to game 3.